close your eyes and drift with me into the deepest silence on Earth. Beneath the waves, far below the reach of sunlight, there lies a world that few have ever seen. A world where darkness glows, where life breathes without sound, and where time moves as slowly as dreams. This is the abyss, the place where the Earth still whispers its oldest stories, where heat rises from the planet's heart and mixes with the cold embrace of eternity. Down here, every shimmer of light, every ripple in the water, every quiet motion of a creature tells a story, not of fear, but of patience. As we travel through this underwater universe, you'll see cities made of coral that never touch the sun, mountains that sleep beneath the sea, and creatures so beautiful they seem like living constellations. They do not rush. They do not fight. They simply exist, softly, gracefully, endlessly. Let your thoughts drift away with the current. Let your heartbeat slow to match the rhythm of the deep. There is no hurry here. No noise. No need to reach the surface. Just stillness. Just the hum of creation that began long before any human word was spoken. So breathe and sink gently into this ocean of calm. Because tonight, you're not just listening to a story, that you're returning to the quiet cradle where all stories began. Welcome to the abyss, Sanctuaries in the Dark. Milky Way's easy. As you close your eyes, the world around you begins to fade. The noise, the light, the weight of the day slowly melting away. You take a deep breath, and for a moment, everything is still. Then, somewhere in the quiet distance, you hear it, the soft hum of the ocean, a rhythmic whisper calling you to drift deeper into its embrace. Tonight, we journey together, far beneath the waves, into the hidden heart of the sea, a place untouched by sunlight, known to few, and understood by even fewer. This is the abyss, Sanctuaries in the Dark, a world that sleeps, breathes, and dreams, just as you do now. Imagine yourself floating on the surface of a calm, endless ocean. The moonlight dances softly on the ripples, and each shimmer feels like a tiny heartbeat of the planet itself. You feel light, weightless, as though gravity itself has taken a moment to rest. The air smells faintly of salt and mystery. Then, as you look down into the dark blue below, you see nothing at first, only depth. But as your eyes adjust, you notice faint glimmers far beneath you, like stars in an inverted sky. They are living lights, creatures that call the deep ocean home, beings that glow not from the sun above, but from the life within. You begin to descend. Slowly, peacefully, the surface fades away and the light dims. With each meter down, the world becomes quieter, more still. You leave behind the chatter of waves and the cries of seabirds. In their place comes a vast silence, the kind of silence that feels alive. Your heartbeat becomes the only sound you hear, steady and soft. You are entering a realm where pressure rises, light disappears, and yet, life thrives in forms both strange and beautiful. As you drift deeper, layers of the ocean unfold like chapters of an ancient book. The first layer, the epipelagic zone, stretches down to about 200 meters. Here, sunlight still dances, and life bursts in color. Schools of fish shimmer like mirrors, coral reefs breathe with the tide, and sea turtles glide gracefully between the rays of light. But you keep going, deeper, beyond the reach of day. The blue fades to indigo, then to black. You are entering the mesopelagic zone, the twilight layer. Only faint traces of sunlight reach here, soft enough to paint faint shadows, but never enough to truly illuminate. And then, the most magical thing begins. The lights of the deep start to awaken. Tiny creatures, almost invisible near the surface, begin to glow. Bioluminescence, nature's gentle lanterns. Some pulse softly, like breathing stars. Others flash in patterns, speaking in a language older than time. For every flicker you see, thousands more remain unseen, hidden in the vast blackness. It is as though the ocean is filled with silent constellations, galaxies beneath the sea. Down here, light is precious. It is life, lure, defense, and communication. The lanternfish, one of the most common creatures of the twilight zone, carries small pockets of light along its body, using them to blend into the faint glow from above, an illusion of invisibility. The vampire squid, contrary to its dark name, is gentle, using its glowing tips to confuse predators. Even jellyfish, delicate and transparent, shimmer with ghostly hues of blue and green. Drifting like living lanterns, you continue to descend, deeper still. Beyond 1,000 meters lies the bathypelagic zone, where no sunlight has ever reached. The pressure here is immense, hundreds of times what you feel on the surface, yet life still persists. Giant squids drift silently through the dark, their enormous eyes adapted to capture even the faintest glimmer of light. The anglerfish waits patiently, a small glowing lure dangling in front of its mouth, an eerie invitation to the curious. Each creature here has evolved not just to survive, but to thrive in conditions that would crush almost any other form of life. As your descent continues, something beautiful happens. You realize that even in darkness, life finds a way to shine. Every glow, every shimmer, is a message. Even here, in the deepest dark, there is light. The deep ocean, once feared as a void, is in truth a sanctuary. It is a place of balance, patience, and silence, a mirror of the soul when it rests. Imagine floating here, surrounded by slow-moving giants, deep-sea jellyfish the size of a human, their translucent bodies pulsing gently, rhythmically, like the slow beating of a heart. Each pulse releases a soft wave through the water, carrying tiny creatures drifting in the current. There is no rush here, no noise, no chaos. Time itself feels slower, calmer, as though the ocean measures moments not in seconds, but in tides that in this darkness. You begin to sense the rhythm of the abyss, a heartbeat so slow and steady it could lull any restless mind to sleep. The temperature drops slightly, the water becomes still, almost sacred. And in that stillness, you begin to understand something ancient, that life does not need light to exist, it only needs peace. You drift beside a deep-sea coral forest, its structures older than civilizations. Some of these coral colonies have lived for thousands of years, untouched by surface storms, undisturbed by time. Their slow growth is a quiet act of endurance, proof that life, in its calmest form, can last far longer than any noise or chaos ever could. In the distance, a faint glow appears, the outline of a deep-sea ridge, where the earth itself breathes. From cracks in the crust, hydrothermal vents release mineral-rich plumes, feeding entire ecosystems. Here, bacteria thrive on heat and chemicals rather than sunlight, a reminder that even in complete darkness, energy finds its way. Around these vents, creatures gather like pilgrims, blind shrimp, tube worms, ghostly crabs, all sustained by the warmth of the planet's inner fire. The ocean at this depth is not lifeless. It is alive in ways we are only beginning to understand. Scientists who send submersibles down here describe it as entering another world, one where time feels infinite and silence has texture. The sub's lights reveal creatures that vanish as quickly as they appear, shadows that breathe, forms that defy imagination. Some glow, others ripple, and many simply drift, suspended in eternal calm. As you watch, mesmerized, the currents carry you slowly onward. You are neither falling nor rising, just drifting, weightless, peaceful. The darkness around you is not frightening. It is soothing, protective. It holds you like a gentle cocoon, shielding you from all the noise of the surface world. Down here, in this sanctuary of silence, there is no rush, no demand, only rest. And so, as your mind softens and your breathing slows, the deep sea becomes more than a place. It becomes a feeling. The abyss is not a void. It is a cradle of quiet life, a soft lullaby whispered by the earth itself. You are safe here, surrounded by the pulse of a living planet, floating through dreams older than memory. The ocean sighs around you, and you realize, the deeper you go, the more peaceful it becomes. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the darkness hold you. Let the water hum its ancient song. This is the sanctuary of the abyss, and tonight, the deeper you drift, the quieter the world becomes, so quiet that you can almost hear the rhythm of your own heartbeat echoing through the water. There is no wind, no sound of waves, only the low hum of the ocean itself, a sound so ancient that it feels like the earth's breath. In this infinite stillness, you begin to notice something extraordinary. Even here, far beyond sunlight, there is light. Not the kind that burns or blinds, but a softer, living light that glows from within the creatures who call this darkness home. It is a light born not of fire or star, but of life itself, a phenomenon called bioluminescence. Every flicker, every shimmer, is a message. In the darkness, communication takes the form of illumination. Tiny organisms use flashes of blue, green, and soft pink light to speak to each other, signals of attraction, defense, or curiosity. In a world where eyes can barely see, light becomes language. Some pulses are steady, like a heartbeat. Others flicker in patterns, as if whispering words in a glowing Morse code that only the deep understands. As your eyes adjust, you begin to see more clearly. The ocean around you is alive with constellations. It feels as though you are floating through a galaxy beneath the sea. A school of lanternfish moves below, their bodies lined with tiny organs called photophores that sparkle in synchronized rhythm. Together, they shimmer like a moving river of stars, flowing silently across the black water. Each fish knows its place, keeping formation as if guided by an unseen current of thought. Nearby, a comb jelly drifts gracefully, its transparent body rippling with light that travels in rainbow waves. It is not glowing from within, but refracting tiny flashes of its own cilia, microscopic hairs that beat in unison to help it glide. It looks like a floating crystal orb, pulsing softly with hues of blue and violet. Watching it feels like watching time slow down, every movement smooth, deliberate, almost sacred that a sudden flicker catches your eye. A small glowing lure swinging gently in the dark. It belongs to the anglerfish, one of the deep's most famous residents. Its face is strange and haunting, yet beautiful in its purpose. The light dangling from its head is both invitation and trap, a brilliant deception that draws smaller fish close enough to be swallowed. But even this act of predation feels calm here. Not violent, not cruel, simply part of the balance. In the abyss, life and death are not opposites. They are two notes in the same deep song. Every creature here has evolved to make peace with darkness. Some create light, others absorb it. The dragonfish, for example, glows faintly red, a color invisible to most deep-sea eyes, allowing it to see without being seen. The hatchetfish uses mirrored scales to reflect the faint light from above, making its body vanish into the black. Survival here is an art of invisibility and patience, a silent dance that has been unfolding for millions of years. As you float among them, you feel a strange serenity, as though you are drifting through a dream where even danger moves with grace. A giant squid passes in the distance, its tentacles extending like slow rivers of silk. Its massive eyes, the largest in the animal kingdom, glint faintly, capable of detecting the slightest motion even in this pitch darkness. Once feared as monsters of myth, these beings are, in truth, quiet travelers of the deep, moving through the water with a gentleness that belies their size. In this silent world, light is not just survival. It is art, beauty, and communication. Scientists once believed bioluminescence existed only in a few rare creatures, but now they know that over 80% of the species in the deep ocean produce their own light. The abyss, once thought lifeless, is actually the most illuminated place on Earth. Only not by the sun, but by its own living stars that if you could listen closely, you might imagine these lights as voices, the ocean speaking softly to itself. Each glow, each flicker, like a sigh, a heartbeat, or a dream. The ocean's depths are not empty. They are filled with quiet presence. And as you drift, you begin to feel part of that great, glowing calm. As though your own thoughts have slowed to the same rhythm as the sea. You pass through a field of marine snow, a gentle fall of organic particles drifting down from the surface. It looks like snowflakes in slow motion, each one carrying fragments of life, bits of plankton, shells, and nutrients. In the deep, nothing is wasted. Every particle becomes food, every trace of life recycles into another. The snow drifts endlessly, a never-ending snowfall that nourishes the unseen. It falls so slowly that a single flake can take weeks to reach the ocean floor. Yet it never stops, a reminder that even in stillness, the ocean moves, below you, the faint outline of a hydrothermal vent field glows softly. From cracks in the ocean floor, hot mineral-rich water spews into the freezing darkness. Around these vents, life flourishes, not from sunlight, but from chemistry. Here, bacteria transform the heat and minerals into energy, forming the base of an ecosystem unlike any other on Earth. Towering chimneys called black smokers rise like underwater volcanoes, their tips shimmering with minerals and strange colors. Around them, tube worms as long as a man sway gently in the current, their bodies pale white and capped with red plumes that wave like silent flags. As you drift closer, you realize this place, this dark, pressurized, silent world, is not barren at all. It is a sanctuary. Each creature, no matter how strange, is perfectly adapted to its role, part of a delicate balance that has existed for millions of years without human interference. Down here, there are no wars, no rush, no noise. Only the slow rhythm of existence. You imagine the passage of time in this world. 1,000 years might pass, and yet nothing would change except the drift of sand or the rise of a new vent. The ocean keeps its secrets patiently. Fossils of ancient creatures rest buried in soft sediments, undisturbed for eras. Above them, their descendants still glide, unchanged in shape or spirit. The deep remembers everything but speaks of nothing. You can feel your mind softening again, your breath sinking with the ocean's slow pulse. The glow around you begins to fade as the creatures drift away into the dark, one by one, their lights dimming like stars at dawn. The silence deepens. It's a silence that doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't need you to think, to speak, or to move. It simply invites you to rest. You close your eyes for a moment and feel the water cradle you. The abyss is not a place to fear. It's a lullaby sung in the oldest voice of the earth. It's a whisper that tells you that even in darkness, there is beauty. Even in stillness, there is motion. And even in silence, there is meaning. The last flicker you see is a small spiral of light, a jellyfish twirling gently as it fades into the dark. It leaves behind a faint trail, like the last brushstroke of a dream. You follow it with your eyes until it disappears completely, and the world becomes still again. You are alone, but not lonely. You are in the heart of the abyss, a sanctuary where time sleeps, and all is calm. Breathe slowly. Let the darkness hold you. Let the ocean's quiet hum wash through your thoughts. Here, in this deep blue silence, nothing hurts, nothing rushes, nothing ends. Only peace remains. Far beneath the waves, where the pressure could crush steel and the sunlight has never reached, lies a world that feels more like a dream than a place. The ocean floor stretches endlessly in every direction, a vast landscape of mountains, valleys, plains, and silent rivers of sand. It is a world of shadows, but not of emptiness. It is alive, quietly, slowly, patiently alive. As you drift closer, the seafloor reveals itself like a sleeping city made not by human hands, but by time itself. The ground beneath you shimmers faintly in the glow of distant bioluminescent creatures. The sand here is not like the sand of the shore. It is fine, ancient, made of the remains of countless shells and tiny organisms that once floated above. Every grain is a memory, every layer a chapter in Earth's deep history. You are floating above the abyssal plain, a vast expanse that covers more of the planet's surface than all land combined. It is so wide, so endless, that it seems to stretch forever, fading into darkness at every edge. The silence here feels sacred. There are no waves, no wind, only the faint vibrations of the earth itself. Every now and then, a tremor passes through the ground, the slow exhale of tectonic plates moving far below. The water shivers slightly, then stills again. Even the smallest motion here feels monumental, as though the entire ocean pauses to listen. As you drift across this underworld, shapes begin to appear, gentle mounds, deep scars, and towering peaks. These are seamounts, underwater mountains that rise thousands of meters from the abyssal plain. Some are extinct volcanoes, their craters long filled with sediment. Others are still active, releasing faint trails of minerals that shimmer like silver smoke. Around their slopes, life gathers, small fish, blind crustaceans, and corals that glow faintly under the dim bioluminescent haze. Here, in the deep, corals are not the colorful reefs of tropical waters. They are pale, ghost-like forests, made of calcium and time. Some of these coral formations have been growing for thousands of years, layer by layer, like the rings of a tree. Their branches twist and curl like frozen smoke, forming shelters for countless unseen creatures. Small shrimp hide in their hollows. Brittle stars crawl slowly across their arms, and tiny worms build spiral homes of sand. Every inch of these silent cities hums with invisible life. The currents that move through these deep valleys are slow and constant, carrying the fine dust of marine snow, the same snow that falls endlessly from the upper layers. As the particles settle, they feed the organisms clinging to the rocks and corals, sustaining life in a place where sunlight never shines. It is a perfect balance, one that has lasted for eons without interference. The gentle glow catches your eye. A cluster of sea lilies, ancient creatures that look like underwater flowers but are in fact animals. Their long stalks anchor them to the ground, and their delicate arms sway in the current, filtering tiny particles from the water. Watching them move is hypnotic, a slow, rhythmic dance that seems to breathe with the ocean itself. Each motion is so fluid, so patient, that it feels more like meditation than movement. Nearby, a sea cucumber glides along the sand, leaving faint trails behind. Its body is soft, almost translucent, absorbing nutrients from the sediment. Around it, small amphipods, tiny shrimp-like creatures, scurry between grains of sand. Every small motion here carries purpose, but none of it feels rushed. Down here, time flows differently. The creatures of the deep have no need for speed. They live in stillness, and that stillness keeps them alive. You drift past a field of manganese nodules, small, dark spheres scattered across the seafloor. They glint faintly under the soft light, like scattered pearls. These nodules have taken millions of years to form, growing atom by atom around tiny particles. They contain metals that humans mine for technology: nickel, cobalt, manganese. Yet here they rest, untouched, part of an ancient rhythm that no machine could replicate. Far ahead, the ground begins to rise again, a jagged ridge cutting through the plain. This is a mid-ocean ridge, one of Earth's great geological features. It stretches for tens of thousands of kilometers, winding through the oceans like a scar, the place where new seafloor is born. Along its edges, hydrothermal vents breathe out hot, mineral-rich water, creating small oases in the cold abyss. You can see the shimmering distortion of heat rising like mirages in the dark. Around these vents, life gathers once more: blind crabs, white shrimp, and colonies of tube worms with crimson plumes. They cluster together in silent communities, thriving on chemical energy rather than sunlight. This world exists on an entirely different set of rules, where heat replaces light, and chemistry replaces photosynthesis. Yet somehow, it all works in perfect harmony. You pause to watch one of the tube worms, its red crown pulsing gently with the flow of water. It has no mouth, no eyes, no stomach. Instead, it relies on bacteria living inside its body to turn the vent's minerals into sustenance. It is a living partnership, a bond between two forms of life that depend on one another completely. This quiet cooperation is the essence of survival here. Not competition, but coexistence. As you watch, the faint glow of the vent lightens the darkness, painting the nearby rocks in shades of silver and blue. The scene feels otherworldly, yet deeply peaceful, like standing inside the breath of the planet. The heat rising from the vents feels like warmth from the Earth's heart, spreading slowly through the cold water. You can almost imagine that this is how life first began. In a place like this, in silence, in darkness, in patience, you begin to drift again, carried by a slow current that leads you past rocky cliffs and deep trenches. The floor drops suddenly, opening into a vast chasm, the edge of the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth. Down there, nearly 11 kilometers below the surface, lies a world so extreme that only a few machines have ever visited it. The pressure is unimaginable, enough to crush metal, yet small life forms survive there, hidden in sediments, feeding on the endless rain of marine snow. Even here, in what seems like the ultimate end of the world, There is still motion, still life, still calm. A translucent snailfish drifts through the trench, its body soft and flexible, its skin glowing faintly in the dark. It does not fight the pressure, it embraces it. It does not resist the darkness, it moves within it. There is a lesson here, whispered through the water. Peace does not come from control, but from acceptance. You float above this chasm for a long time, feeling the enormity of it. The Earth's oldest stories are written here, layer upon layer, like the quiet lines of a sleeping face. Every ripple, every grain of sand, every creature that moves unseen, they are all part of the same ancient rhythm. The ocean floor, for all its darkness, is not a grave. It is a cradle. It holds the beginnings of life, and perhaps its future as well. As the currents carry you onward, you feel your own thoughts slow to match the pace of the abyss. There is no rush to reach the surface, no need to escape. The deep is not a place of fear, it is a place of rest. Its vastness reminds you that you are small, but in that smallness, there is peace. Because here, in this endless world beneath the waves, everything is connected. Every breath, every flicker, every quiet life form is part of something far greater and far calmer than anything above. You breathe deeply. The darkness around you hums softly, alive with the quiet music of the deep. Every sound feels like a lullaby now. The distant crackle of vents, the soft drift of sand, the whisper of unseen currents. You close your eyes, feeling weightless, timeless, and safe. The hidden cities beneath have welcomed you, and as you drift through them, you realize something beautiful, that even in the deepest dark, the world is never truly asleep. It is simply resting, waiting, dreaming. In the deepest corners of the ocean, where no light from the surface can ever reach, communication takes on a new meaning. Words are useless here. Sound travels differently, light is scarce, and yet, life finds a way to speak, not through voice, but through motion, color, rhythm, and glow. It is a language older than language itself, a quiet dance of survival and connection written in shadows. You drift through this realm, where silence is not empty. It's full of messages, if only you learn to see them. The darkness around you shimmers faintly as small creatures pulse with bioluminescence, flashing in patterns only others of their kind can understand. Each flicker is a sentence, each glow a whisper. It is as if the sea itself breathes in Morse code, a secret conversation that never stops. The lanternfish glides past, tiny but glowing like a falling star. Its body flickers with soft blue light, a signal to its companions, guiding them through the black expanse. These fish form schools that stretch for miles, rising at night to feed, sinking by day to rest. Together, they create the largest migration on the planet, billions of creatures moving as one, following a rhythm set not by the sun, but by instinct. Their lights blink in unison, like a heartbeat. From a distance, it looks like a galaxy drifting beneath the waves. Each flash is perfectly timed, each pause deliberate, a living constellation. You can almost imagine the fish speaking through the light. I am here. Follow me. The current is safe. The shadows are calm. Not far away, a vampire squid floats gracefully, its body soft and translucent, its arms lined with tiny, glowing spots. Despite its name, it is gentle, feeding on drifting particles and the snow that falls from above. When threatened, it turns itself inside out, pulling a dark membrane over its body and disappearing into the water. But when it feels safe again, it opens like a flower, its lights pulsing softly, like a heartbeat returning after fear. Watching it is like witnessing a sigh, a reminder that even in darkness, life chooses beauty over fear. The ocean could have been empty, yet it chose to fill itself with color, with motion, with art made of light. Deeper still, you find the anglerfish, a solitary being that carries its own lantern. The light at the end of its lure sways slowly, hypnotically, drawing curious prey closer. The angler waits, patient and motionless, its wide mouth ready but calm. It does not chase, it simply waits. The light does the work, a reminder that in stillness, power often hides. Its glow is soft, golden, and haunting, the only spark in an ocean of black. You can feel the pull of it, the way it sways gently with the water. It feels almost human, the need to be seen, to be noticed, to connect in a place where everything seems alone. And yet, the angler is not lonely. It is perfectly content in its solitude, its light both weapon and companion. Around it, plankton drift like stars, catching the faint gleam. The water feels thick with dreams, tiny, fragile lives carried by invisible currents. Some flash once and fade forever. Some glow for hours, leaving trails of light behind them like thoughts that refuse to die. There is a rhythm here, one that no human ear can fully hear, but every creature of the deep understands. A language built not of sound, but of vibration. Faint clicks, gentle pulses, the slow hum of pressure shifting, the beating of invisible fins. Even in silence, the ocean speaks. The sperm whale, far above, sends out a click, a sound so powerful it can travel across miles. To us, it's a pulse. To another whale, it's a story. Through those sounds, they recognize one another. They remember. They comfort. Each click is a name, a memory, a reminder. You are not alone. It's strange to think that beneath the waves, in this enormous, endless night, life continues to find ways to connect, softly, invisibly. You can feel that connection now, a deep hum that vibrates through your chest, steady and warm. It feels almost like the heartbeat of the world itself. In one corner of the trench, you notice the faint outline of a giant squid. It moves like a ghost, silent, slow, impossibly large. Its eyes, the size of dinner plates, glimmer faintly in the dark. Those eyes have seen things no sunlight has ever touched. They have watched volcanoes erupt underwater, seen entire schools of fish vanish in a single flash of light. They have seen the oldest rhythms of the earth, tides that never sleep, currents that have flowed since time began. For a moment, the squid turns its gaze toward you. It doesn't attack. It doesn't flee. It simply watches, calm, curious, aware. In its stillness, there's wisdom, as if it recognizes you not as an intruder, but as another traveler in the same great silence. And then, with a slow motion of its arms, it fades away, a whisper lost in the folds of shadow. Everything here seems to exist between moments, not rushing, not waiting, just being. The jellyfish pulse through the dark like breathing stars, their bells glowing in rhythm with unseen music. Some glow in soft blues, others in warm greens or pinks, painting the water like brushstrokes of light. Each flicker feels like a memory, floating free from time. The comb jellies are the most mesmerizing. They don't produce light themselves, but refract it through rows of tiny cilia that ripple across their bodies. As they move, rainbows shimmer along their sides, waves of color shifting gently through the dark. Watching them is like watching light dream. No words can describe their movement. It's too smooth, too perfect. And then, there are the gulper eels, with their wide, luminescent mouths and long, ribbon-like tails. They float silently, their jaws opening like sails to catch drifting prey. Sometimes, they light up from within, a gentle blue glow that spreads through their bodies. It's beautiful and strange and eerily peaceful. They look less like predators and more like pieces of the sea itself, shaped into living form. The deeper you drift, the more you realize the darkness is not a void. It's a canvas, and light, no matter how small, becomes sacred here. Every creature carries its own star. Every glow, a story. Every movement, a message that says, I am alive. I exist. I am part of this endless dream. You begin to understand that communication here isn't about being heard. It's about being felt. The sea doesn't speak in words. It speaks in waves, in pulses, in presence. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And in that whisper, you find peace. As you float through the water, surrounded by this glowing constellation of life, you can feel your mind slowing down. Your thoughts dissolve, like sand settling at the bottom of a calm sea. You are no longer just an observer. You are part of the silence now, part of the rhythm. You breathe deeply. The glow of the abyss surrounds you. You can almost hear the soft lullaby of the currents, a song made of patience, light, and time. The creatures of the deep do not fear the dark. They have made it home, and as you drift among them, you begin to understand. Darkness was never the opposite of light, that it was always the space that allowed it to shine. So, You close your eyes. You let the sounds fade. The soft hum of the deep fills your chest, calm and endless. The light fades slowly, like the last flicker of a dream. Down here, in the heart of the abyss, you are not alone. You are surrounded by silent conversations, of creatures who glow to be seen, of shadows that move to be understood, of a world that whispers, gently but clearly, I am still alive. The deeper you drift into the abyss, the quieter everything becomes, not silent, but hushed, as though the ocean itself is remembering something ancient. Down here, beneath the weight of time and water, lies a secret that has never faded. The secret of how life began. Every bubble, every shimmer, every soft vibration in the dark seems to carry an echo of that first moment when the world opened its eyes, before there were trees, before there were stars we could see, before even the continents took shape. There was the sea. It was here that the first spark of life flickered to existence, not in sunlight, but in darkness. Not in the gentle shallows, but in the deep, where heat and minerals rose from the Earth's heart through cracks in the ocean floor. Those hydrothermal vents, still breathing today, are like ancient forges. Their chimneys rise like black towers, exhaling clouds of shimmering minerals into the freezing water. From these vents pours a heat that feels alive, rich with sulfur, iron, and energy. Around them, the water glows faintly, not from light, but from reaction, a chemistry that dances invisibly in the dark. That it was in such a place, billions of years ago, that molecules began to meet in the right way. Simple elements collided, combined, and something extraordinary happened. Something began to copy itself. That was the beginning. A pulse, a flicker, a rhythm that said, I exist. As you drift through the vent fields, you can almost feel it. That same rhythm, still echoing through the water. The life that surrounds these vents now is both ancient and new, shaped by the same forces that once sparked the first living cell. The bacteria clinging to the rocks are descendants of the first ancestors of all life. Tiny, invisible architects that turned minerals into breath and energy into existence. You watch the water shimmer as hot fluid mixes with the cold, the boundary between birth and stillness. Out of that boundary, life emerges again and again. Small white shrimp gather near the heat, their translucent bodies glowing softly. They feed not on light, but on chemicals, hydrogen sulfide and methane, turning the harshness of the deep into nourishment. They are living proof that creation does not need comfort. It only needs possibility. All around, tube worms sway gently in the current, their red plumes pulsing with each breath of the vent. Inside their long, pale bodies, bacteria live in perfect harmony, converting minerals into food. Neither could live without the other, a partnership written into existence itself. Watching them, you can almost see the blueprint of life unfolding: cooperation, balance, and adaptation. The same patterns that shape coral reefs, forests, and even the beating of your own heart. As you drift closer to the vents, you hear a soft crackle, not of fire, but of reaction. Tiny particles collide, release energy, and the water vibrates faintly. It feels like the sea is breathing. You can imagine that first breath, billions of years ago, slow, uncertain, but powerful enough to awaken everything that would ever be. This place feels sacred, like the memory of creation itself. Every movement, every shimmer of heat, feels like a verse in an ancient song that the earth still sings beneath all its noise. The vents hum with quiet strength, a deep, resonant sound that passes through your body like a heartbeat. It is the same rhythm that life has carried ever since, the rhythm of becoming. You think of how small the first forms of life were, invisible, fragile, without eyes, without sound. And yet, from them came everything. The forests, the mountains, the stars reflected in human eyes. Every creature that breathes owes its first breath to this darkness. The ocean cradled life before the sky ever knew what light was. It's humbling to realize that the roots of all existence lie not in glory, but in patience. Life began quietly, not as a miracle of chance, but as a whisper repeated for eternity until it became song. Down here, you can almost hear it, a lullaby older than memory. Even the rocks remember. The minerals around the vents are layered with traces of life, ancient bacteria frozen in time. Each layer is a page of Earth's diary, written in heat and silence. They tell stories of evolution, of survival, of transformation. They tell of a world that learned to breathe before it learned to speak, that a plume of warm water rises before you, filled with shimmering dust. Within it, you see shapes, not real, but imagined, the shadows of beginnings. The first cell dividing, the first movement, the first awareness of being. And you realize, with a strange calm, that creation was never a single event. It's still happening, everywhere, every moment. Every heartbeat, every tide, every sunrise is part of that same unfolding story. The deep sea is not the past. It is the origin that never ended. It is life remembering itself. Every creature here, no matter how alien, carries that memory. The bacteria, the shrimp, the worms, the fish, even you. The pattern that began here continues in the rhythm of your breath, the warmth of your pulse, the way your cells communicate in silence. The abyss, for all its darkness, is not death. It is the place where creation never stopped. You feel it now, that same pulse, slow and infinite, humming through the water and through you. The boundary between yourself and the sea begins to fade. You are not separate from it. You are part of it. You always were. The vents continue to breathe, releasing their clouds of minerals into the cold water. The contrast between heat and chill, chaos and calm, feels like balance, the kind that sustains life itself. Creation has always been about balance, between light and dark, stillness and motion, silence and sound. Down here, it's clearer than anywhere else. You imagine the world as it was, an ocean without names, without sound, without division. Only energy, only rhythm. And yet, from that rhythm came awareness, and from awareness came wonder. Life became its own storyteller, shaping itself through curiosity, fear, and love. The same elements that once danced through these vents now flow through every heartbeat, every dream, every spark of thought. You drift a little closer to one of the vent chimneys. The surface glows faintly gold, lined with bacteria that feed on the minerals. They shimmer like living paint, moving with the heat, forming ever-changing patterns. It looks like a living tapestry, creation painting itself in real time. The longer you watch, the more you see, small details, subtle changes, new forms emerging and fading. It's mesmerizing, eternal, peaceful. You begin to understand something simple but profound. Life was never meant to conquer the world. It was meant to join it, to grow with it, to listen. The first cells did not rise out of the sea to escape it. They carried the ocean within them. Every drop of water in your body is ancient, older than mountains, older than memory. You are not apart from the deep. You are its continuation as the current moves around you. The sound of the vents fades into a gentle hum, like the earth's quiet song. It's a reminder that creation is not noise or chaos. It's calm. It's patient. It's soft. The universe does not shout its beginnings, it whispers them. And in that whisper, everything is born. You close your eyes, floating in the warmth of the vent's breath, surrounded by the echoes of creation. The darkness is not heavy anymore. It feels safe, nurturing, full of potential. You can feel the same energy that shaped the first stars, the first seas, the first lives. It flows through you now, gently, endlessly. In this moment, the abyss feels like home, not because it's where life began, but because it reminds you what life truly is. A balance, a pulse, a dream that never ends. You take a slow breath, letting the rhythm of the deep fill your chest. The heat from the vents fades behind you. The cold returns, but it no longer feels empty. It feels eternal. Creation is still happening. It's in every current, every shadow, every heartbeat. It's in you.